Morality. What is it? Is it even real? This is one of the greatest questions to ever go unsolved in human history. Morality is generally defined as a categorization of actions and beliefs that are considered either right or wrong. Morality is often a topic of religious debate, as many see morality as an indicator of a greater force. Some see it as relative or even non-existent, denying the possibility of there being a strict set of good and evil practices and are instead socially defined. Yet it's undisputed that morality is necessary for a society, whether culturally constructed or not, as it helps preserve law, agency, freedom, and collective happiness. So how am I, as a college student, supposed to tackle this problem head-on? I certainly cannot prove that there is a definitive moral code, but I can describe its prevalence in our daily lives. Since I've defined morality already, you may be wondering what some examples we see in real life are that deal with morality. At a cultural level, you can witness morality easiest in politics, law, and norms. In India, it is extremely controversial to eat beef, yet a standard dietary practice in the United States. The list goes on. But what about at an individual level? For Bin Song's Foundations of Morality class, he describes morality as necessary to leading a good and virtuous human life. This is where it gets tricky because then we are dealing with therapy, psychology, and philosophy. There are a lot of different philosophical practices with different moral influence that one could follow. It's certainly an impossible task for me to tackle alone, so I figured I could have some help. That is why I decided to talk with probably the most famous modern philosopher in moral ethics, Dr. Jordan B. Peterson. Hey, Mr. Peterson. It's good to be able to talk to you.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
I hear you're really good at discerning questions regarding morality, so I figured talking to you would be relevant to my study, and it might help.
Of course.
So I guess we start with some basic questions, like what is morality?
Sure. What is morality? Well, that's a loaded question, really, because we can't really pinpoint where it is or if it's real. It's multifaceted yet permeates in our culture, regardless of if it's an actual thing or not. Perhaps the best way to get your point across is through an example.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking we use some just basic examples that people could relate to personally, I guess.
Okay, so let's think of some situation where you're faced with some moral implications. Say you're getting off work and walking to your car. You see a homeless man on the pavement. Your first concern is whether to ignore him or help. Say you decide to help, but everyone knows you shouldn't give him money because he might use it on drugs. The more logical decision is to give him food.
Okay.
You're not settling on Burger King or Dairy Queen. He's better off not eating anything at that point. You settle on McDonald's.
Okay, sure.
But then you get there, you think, what would he like? Should you go for a Big Mac?
I'd say so. It's popular.
But what if he's a vegetarian? Or what if he doesn't want 3 patties and just wants a cheeseburger instead?
I mean, I guess you should have asked him first.
No, we don't have time to interrogate him. He's starving. So let's say you ditch the burger idea. Too messy anyways. Sauce gets all over the place. It's usually quite greasy. Me, I've always been a 10-piece chicken McNugget. Exactly, a 10-piece chicken McNugget guy. It's a safe choice. I mean, it's clean, flaky, it's humble. So let's settle on that. I'm sure he'll like it. But then you're wondering what size, what drink. I'm gonna get a water. Let's keep it medium. You look for the McNuggets, and it's $11.
$11?
I can't afford that. I'll tell you what. I remember when that meal was $6 tops. Man, those were the days. Everything was cheap. They had a lot going on at that point. It was always good to be in a McDonald's. My friends and I would always go there to just hang out and get some cheap food. But now, gosh, it's so expensive. I remember when they had these nice cushioned red leather seats, for you to sit on. Gosh, those were the times. I remember one time I only had about a quarter with me, but I could still afford fries. That says a lot now. I went on a date with a girl in there once. That was a lot of fun. I mean, really, looking back, Makes you realize how gross it is now. They don't want you sitting in there either. They're all ugly now. It was different then. The burgers were even better then.
Wait, I'm sorry, Mr. Peterson. I'm sorry. I'm just really confused.
Sure,
I, I guess I'm lost. I just don't understand what you're talking about. What does morality have to do with burgers at McDonald's?
because their ketchup was ethically sourced at one point. Anyways, even the sesame seeds had a distinct honesty to them. You knew what you were getting. There's a reason the Hamburglar was so dedicated. What was that?
I'm sorry. We're kind of getting off track here. I just don't think this is relevant. None of this makes sense.
You're playing with fire, kid. I am going to kill you.
Okay, Mr. Peterson, I think our time is up here. I just want to say thanks for providing your input on the matter. I hope my audience can take something from what you've said today. Thank you.
Of course, thank you for having me.
With the interview with Peterson being a bust, I didn't know how else I could get any point across. I seriously could not think of a case study to properly exemplify morality and virtuous living. So, I did what any trying college student does and decided to sit on the couch and play video games. I popped in a copy of The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask to relax. Classic choice, probably one of the best games ever made. So I sat there, and while I was stirring on what to talk about for my morality project, I went steady slashing enemies, trying to prevent a misunderstood bullied child attempt to destroy the world out of sadness, envy, and anger. Wait a minute. Rewind. I'm playing a game where the goal is to negotiate with a troubled kid from killing everybody because he is overcome with wrath. It's like this whole thing fell right into my lap to be picked apart. Why is Skullkid from Majora's Mask so morally confused? Furthermore, how can we fix him without violence? What's so fascinating to me about this game is that Skullkid is almost relatable. He's the main villain in this game, yet he is unlike most villains in pop culture. He doesn't want power. He doesn't want evil for the sake of evil. He's only lashing out because he thinks it is fair, because his logic and reasoning is flawed. Skullkid was only possessed by Majora because of his internal hatred he had. The four giants, who were once his closest friends, had left him so they could protect the entire land of Termina. Not understanding this, he felt they had betrayed him. This is what initiates his evil doings, not because he wants wealth or power, but because he is deeply hurt and misunderstood. Someone's gonna say, actually it's the mask that's trying to destroy the world, not him, which is partly true, but the only reason the mask possesses him in the first place is because he already had this internal damnation, but no way of expressing it. When he becomes possessed by Majora's Mask, he can finally fulfill this. Using Elliot Cohen's table that we had studied in our morality class, it's a good starting point to understanding where Skullkid's internal virtues are flawed. Analyzing his character throughout the game, I can pinpoint two major emotional fallacies within Skullkid's character. Skullkid expresses extreme self-loathing, failure, as though he is an outcast doomed to be forgotten. He very clearly expresses aggression and vengeance upon the people of Termina, dragging their moon down to kill them. This indicates extreme feelings of damnation of both himself and others. Furthermore, he is attempting to exterminate the entire population simply because 4 of his friends left him behind. He is placing his woes at a much higher importance than the lives of literally everyone else. This is what's known as the world revolves around me thinking, which I will shorten into selfishness. These two emotional fallacies, put together, deemed to be extremely dangerous for Skullkid. He wants everyone dead because of his anger. But let's pretend Skullkid isn't wearing any mask. so he can't pull the moon down, and we don't have to kill a giant demon inside the moon to save the world. So Skullkid has no power, but clearly still internally feels this way. Skullkid goes to therapy. What are the solutions to his problem? Firstly, some practical advice. When it comes to emotions as intense as that, I think firstly he should attempt to connect or reconnect with religion. I say this because I feel having some faith in a higher power can not only help you practice more virtuous habits, but also to keep you empathetic and loving of everyone, even his friends that left him to fulfill their civil duties. Perhaps he could volunteer for local charities, to put him close with people who are really in need and see how truly important he is to society if he applies himself in the right places. But what does Elliot Cohen say about this? He has corrective solutions for every fallacy provided, and for damnation specifically, he recommends respect. That is, respect of others, of life, and of the universe. Skullkid seems to lose respect of others when his friends left him. If he were to practice respect on others, and even on nature, cultivating that virtue could help him develop a deeper understanding of love and empathy, and not only respect of others, but also respect for himself. If he learns to respect and love himself, he will not feel so removed, so ostracized and alone. I'm sure if he practiced more self-respect, he could even become, naturally, more involved in society. In addition to my practical advice of seeking religion, this could be extremely beneficial. In addition to this, Cohen's solution for selfishness is empathy, which is similar to the practical advice that I'd given. Skullkid could learn to connect with others. What makes empathy important is that not only will it help him remove his aggressive feelings towards others, but it will in turn also make him less lonely because he will also make more friends. With these three solutions combined, religion, empathy, and respect, Skullkid could become extremely charitable, confident, and humble. But is there any old philosophical wisdom for Skullkid? Well, as a matter of fact, it's everywhere. I find the word of Confucius to be especially relevant when it comes to cultivating good virtues. From the Analects to poems, Confucius had a lot to say about humaneness, about beauty and empathy, about rituals, and about virtues. Most importantly, Confucius's virtue of humaneness, where he advocates for the goodwill that is present within humans when they conduct themselves properly amongst others and their community. To quote Bin Song's lecture, Confucius once said, "If a person is not humane, what do they do with music?" This is taken from the Analects, but I would argue this can be taken even larger. If a person is not humane, what do they do with love, with friendship, with respect? The answer is nothing, almost as if these two things are not possessible at once. So how can we, or Skullkid, obtain humaneness? Well, do you know the golden rule? Jesus once said it. So did Confucius. Now there are three different types of the golden rule written in the Analects: the negative, the positive, and the corrective. But for the most part, and sake of simplicity, they mean the same thing. I think using the positive rules phrasing works best for this situation. Help others to achieve what you want to achieve yourself. This can be taken as pure empathy, to help others, and ultimately be helped at the same time. If this were taught to Skullkid, I'm sure he could apply it very easily into his life and recognize outstanding results. Again, Confucius is all about humaneness and virtue, something that Skullkid is troubled with. It's crucial that he learns to cultivate the right virtues, and I feel Confucius' method of reasoning, logic, and understanding within the Analects could help change his and many others' lives for the better. And that's the story of Skullkid. From wallowing in loneliness to now a good steward of society, all due to his employment of practical advice, of Elliot Cohen's logic, and Confucius's wise words. Like I said earlier, I feel anyone could see themselves in Skullkid. From time to time in our lives, even we can feel hateful, misunderstood, envious. It is our responsibility to remember our duties to cultivate good virtues, not just for the pursuit of a better life, but also to help others along the way.